Afternoon class. Has been a fairly crazy time for me. I recently lived in Oregon and I have made the jump over the puddle to Hawaii, moving my wife, kids, dogs, and trying to find a new home for us as well, and starting a new position with my company. Luckily, I was able to get ahead of some of the homework, or I would be really hurting right now. When it comes to the scale of the government, I'm on the side of the bigger, the better to an extent. Here in the state of Hawaii, the government is very small, and it's kind of like the Wild Wild West sometimes, especially here on the Big Island. With COVID-19 Delta variant hitting the United States pretty hard, it is demolishing the government here in Hawaii. The hospitals, ICUs out here are at capacity. Tourism is running rampant, and the government doesn't want to shut it down again because the big tourism industry is for the state. All the taxes for the hotels, the drinks, everything goes towards the state, and that's their main source of income for the population. Mask mandates have never left this state. Once they were implemented, they stayed. Franklin D. Roosevelt once said, and I quote, "The success or failure of any government in the final analysis must be measured by the well-being of its citizens. Nothing can be more important to a state than its public health. The state's paramount concern should be the health of its people." The fragmentation of the government health infrastructure is in part a direct result of the way in which the governmental roles and responsibilities at the federal, state, and local levels have evolved over the U.S. history. This history also explains why the nation lacks a comprehensive national health policy that could be used to align health sector investment, governmental public health agency structure and function, and incentives for the private sector to work more effectively as part of the broader public health system. Now, that's according to the Institute of Medicine Committee on Ensuring the Health of the Public in the 21st Century back in 2002. This nation right now is so split and so argumentative of government control. You have brothers fighting brothers, children arguing with parents, and Facebook warriors blowing up individuals' feeds. Governmental control is a touchy subject, especially if you look at world history. What has happened several times to different nations whose citizens have given up certain individual rights? Say Germany in the 1930s, right? So as I mentioned before, there comes a time when the government control becomes too strong, when individuals lose their rights. I don't see it at this point in the United States. However, it doesn't seem as far-fetched anymore. If you would ask me 10 years ago if I thought individuals would be forced to carry vaccination records in order to travel in certain states, I would have said no way. But as it stands today, that is no longer the case. Now, I'm not pro-vaccine or negative vaccine. Individual choice is up to you. Alexander Hamilton, our first Secretary of the Treasury, had goals for a strong central government, and his focus on the interest of the United States, commerce, and industry to make it strong. You will see Hamilton throughout his career push for a strong central government, such as his support for public credit, national banks, national mint, and was in favor of multiple tariffs. And he later stated in a letter about the strength of the government, and I quote, "But nothing appears more evident to me than that we run a much greater risk of having a weak and disunited federal government than one which we be able to assert upon the rights of the people. The forms of our state constitutions must always give them great weight in our affairs and will make it too difficult to bend them to the pursuit of common interests, too easy to oppose whatever they do not like, and to form partial combinations subversive of the general one." Hamilton at no time thought the federal government too powerful. He basically assumed, and rightfully so, that they were really too weak to do anything, even protect the nation against future threats. Our state governments are meant to be our checks and balances with the federal government. The question I ask my viewers, those watching this video, does the state government still trump the federal government? Or is it too afraid to be sanctioned, to lose tax benefits, to lose certain rights? Thank you, everyone. I hope you guys finish the course strong. Aloha.